I really appreciate you guys watching the video, and by the end of this video, I want to show you a dramatic transformation of what happens with this weed. Actually, I let this video go a little longer than I originally anticipated. The whole course of time over this video is about 10 days, and from the beginning, seeing the weeds in the yard to what they look like at the end is going to be really dramatic, and even the overall appearance of the lawn. So I hope you enjoy this one. Weed control can be a little bit tricky when you're talking about killing weeds in the lawn without actually killing the grass. One of the things that's tricky, especially when you're dealing with customers, is when they have weeds, you want to see results fast. And even a homeowner, they want to kill the weeds and they want them gone yesterday. So I'm going to show you a product that I use when I need fast results. Now, let me just say this. Fast results don't always happen in the cold weather. Usually the warmer it is, the faster results. But I'm going to show you the exact products I'm using spraying lawns right now to get me fast results to control weeds. Today's video is sponsored by Yardbook. If you need a lawn care software, you can use the one I've been using since 2015. Go to yardbook.com. Well, the time of this video is spring, and spring can be the worst time for weeds in the lawn. And here's why. One, oftentimes people are not really mowing their grass yet. You see this yard, it's kind of like got some brown patches and some green, and yeah, maybe we're mowing a little bit, but not mowing as regular. So the weeds look ugly because they pop up and they're not getting mowed. Now, if this grass was cut, the weeds wouldn't be as noticeable. Also, spring can be tough because you got cool season weeds that's been there that are still hanging around in the spring, and maybe you've got some warm season weeds that are also popping up. And then in my area, I live in Alabama, we get this dreaded weed. It's called American burnweed, and it's everywhere. American burnweed all over. And it seemingly pops up overnight, and there can be 100 of them in your yard, and they grow very fast. Now, the good news is very easy to kill American burnweed, which I'm going to demonstrate today. One of the things that's tough about American burnweed is the pre-emergents don't do a great job of stopping it because it tends to germinate in the thatch instead of down in the soil. So your pre-emergent might be stopping a lot of annual weeds that are germinating in the soil, but not doing a whole lot on American burnweed. Now, the pre-emergents don't do a great job with American burnweed, but I have found that if you spray Spectacle in the fall, which can be an expensive pre-emergent, if I use this in the fall, it does seem to greatly reduce the amount of American burnweed that shows up in the lawn the next year. But I have found if I use Spectacle Flow in the fall, which is what we typically put out in the fall, does a great job on Poa annua and other cool season weeds, then it typically will greatly reduce the amount of American burnweed that shows up in the lawn the following spring. Now, it may not be a perfect solution, but it does seem to help a lot. I'm also spraying this in the spring to get ahead of some of the summer weeds. I'm also spraying this in the spring for my customers in late April on into May, and it helps with Kalinga and a lot of your summer weeds. So the combination I'm using right now is Spectacle Flow at 6 ounces per acre in the springtime, and I'm mixing it with 16 ounces per acre of Changeup. Now, if you don't know how to calculate how much to use per acre, you can, after this video, search for Lawn Care Life calibration on YouTube, and there's a calibration video that can show you how to calibrate your sprayer. All right, Changeup, the other product you see here, this is a post-emergent, and this is in a 2.5 gallon jug, and it's going to be a little bit expensive by this, but actually when you calculate it out what it takes to spray a yard, it's not a very expensive product. And Changeup is great because it works very fast, especially when the weather starts to warm up. So what we're going to do is we're going to spray that American burnweed and some of these other broadleaf weeds. I'm not going to spray it all. I'm going to spray some of it so we can compare what was sprayed with what's not sprayed, and we want to see how fast it's going to kill these weeds. I think we're going to get some extremely fast results. And the Spectacle, again, is not really killing those weeds. It's the Changeup's going to be working so fast, but the Spectacle is hopefully helping us keep out future weeds. Now, I've got a big spray tank, but you can also mix Changeup in like a little 2-gallon handheld sprayer like this. I just mix it 3/4 of an ounce per gallon of water in one of these and spray lightly. So these are 2-gallon sprayer. I'll put 1.5 ounces in there with a little bit of surfactant and spray the weeds, and it works great. Again, in a big tank sprayer situation, I'm going with 16 ounces per acre, and I'm going to spray these weeds, and let's see what happens. Now, when you're spraying, you want to make sure you wear your PPE. So I've got rubber gloves, rubber boots, long sleeve shirt, long pants, ready to go. That should be sufficient. I left plenty of weeds unsprayed, and I sprayed a bunch too. So we're gonna be able to see a very clear difference in what was sprayed and what was not sprayed. So let's start the clock and let's see how fast these weeds are gonna die. We'll check back soon. All right, it's been about 72 hours since we sprayed the weeds. I want to show you what they look like. The ones we sprayed, also want to show you the ones that haven't been sprayed so we can compare the results. As you walk through here, you see the weather's warmer lately. These weeds are just continuing to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. So the main one is this American burnweed. Mowing does help, by the way. If you cut the grass, it will knock a lot of these out. But you get up here a little further and you start seeing the scenery changing a little bit. Weeds look a lot different. So let's look at here. After 72 hours, a very low rate of Changeup, you can see what the weeds are looking like. This one's turning yellow. They're wilting really bad. Sometimes when I do weed control for people, I think that they think that I'm doing some kind of magic trick to make the weeds disappear in the lawn. More than likely, what normally happens is that this happens. The weeds get sick, and when you mow them with a lawnmower, they don't come back. It's not a disappear now. We could come back probably a week from now and still see weeds, though they'll be even further wilted. But once the grass is mowed, then they, virtually disappear because you're not going to see them as the grass fills in where the weeds used to be. We're going to keep checking on it just to keep showing you the results, but I think you can see working pretty quickly. It was actually wilted some after 48 hours, but now after 72, we're getting some more dramatic results. I decided to give one more update. About 4 days ago, I went ahead and cut the grass and I sprayed this entire field where I showed you a section that we'd spray. We saw the burnweed was dying, but the other weeds are not dying. Well, now I want to show you what happens after you cut the grass. I went and sprayed the whole thing and kind of give you a quick last minute update. So we're waiting on some warmer weather, had a lot of rain, but you can see there was a lot of broadleaf weeds on this particular property, and the weeds are yelling out. You can see the burn weeds laying down flat. So that's what happens. The weeds are going to continue to deteriorate, but after mowing the grass, they're not growing back, so they're not nearly as noticeable. Now again, as I get down here closer, I can see some weeds, but they're starting to turn brown and just really not growing. So from a distance, you get this look, and it won't be long and it'll be cleaned up. So I'm gonna walk over here and show the original section that we sprayed so we can see how those are looking. It's been a little bit longer period of time. You can see what's happened because it's been longer than the ones I showed you just a while ago. And you can even see some extreme examples. Okay, so now you're getting to see what they really look like. I mean, basically turn them black. So great examples of how fast the Changeup works. You'll get that quick burn down where they'll start melting away and turning colors, but then it's probably been, I'm gonna say 10 days since the original application at this update, and they're just really wilting up to next to nothing. Thanks for watching. If you hadn't done so, subscribe to the channel. I've got tons of videos on here. Also, if you want to get in weed control and fertilization like me, go to lawncarelife.com. There's the Weed Control and Fertilization Academies, pricing charts, stuff like that. And there's also a link for the 2024 Lawn Care Life Conference if you want to check that out. We'll see you guys in the next video.